Hello everyone, welcome to Good Film Hunting, a podcast about an average couple who are on the hunt for some good movies. In today's world, we are consuming more media than ever, perhaps more passively than ever. But we believe that by documenting and discussing the media we intake, how and what we intake will change for the better. It is important that we don't just become another consumer, but a participant, seeking to engage with the media we consume, so that we can see how our view of the world affects how we perceive it, and how it affects how we perceive the world. In this podcast, we are not only on the hunt for some good movies, but on the hunt for a good discussion. So, lean in, participate, and enjoy.
I pledge allegiance to the band of Mr. Schneebly, and will not fight him for creative control, and will defer to him on all issues related to the musical direction of the band.
I pledge allegiance to that band too.
Okay, now you have to repeat that. You have to repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance
Or maybe you have memorized.
to the band of Mr. Schneebly.
Mm-hmm.
I will not fight him for creative control. I don't have the rest of my one.
And will defer to him on all issues related to the musical direction of the band.
And will defer to him on all issues related to the musical direction of the band.
Yes. And us new different
Band.
man. Yep.
Wow.
So, well, welcome back, everyone. We are talking about School of Rock this evening. But before we begin on that, James here as always, and besides me is my wife, Savannah. How are you doing this evening?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Have a sore throat coming on.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah.
Hands are very dry.
Fighting off those winter perks, right?
It's true.
Like 10 degrees outside. There's snow everywhere. Ice on the road. It's good times. Good times.
It is good times.
Good times. Could be worse. It could be like, negative 11 degrees outside, like someone I was
true.
talking to the
Apparently,
other day.
there's an 150 degree difference currently between North Dakota and I think Florida.
Wow, I believe it.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that's insane. Wow, because North Dakota's up there. What would it be between Alaska and Florida?
Yeah, I don't know. Even North Dakota and Florida, though, 150 degree difference.
That's pretty insane. Wow. Huh. Okay. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but ultimately we're not here to talk about, the difference of degrees between states. We're here to talk about rock bands, School of Rock, because, would you like to go to a school for a rock band?
Not a rock band. Maybe a different band.
A different band? What kind of band?
Like a folk indie band, maybe.
Okay.
Even a worship Christian band. That could be fun.
It could be fun.
Contemporary Christian band. Jazz band.
All right. For those of you who are listening in for the first time, I'm going to give a brief breakdown of the episode layout, just so you have an idea of what we're getting ourselves into before we get started. So we're going to start with I'm going to start with a list of facts about the movie, give it to Savannah, some facts she may know or may not know. We'll share our general thoughts and opinions on the movie and the history if we have any. We'll go over our favorite moment of the movie. We'll go through our rating system where we have 4 categories that we'll rate on a scale of 1 to 5. Then we'll kind of go over our overall individual ratings at the end. And then we will move on to our next movie. Not tonight, obviously, but, when time permits. All right, you ready for some facts, Savannah?
I am.
All right, so this movie was released on October 3rd, 2003. 2003, that was the same year that Bruce Almighty came out. I did look that up because I was curious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it came out earlier in the year. School of Rock has a runtime of 109 minutes. Guess what budget it had?
25 million.
Close, just add 10.
35 million.
You got it, yep. And it had a box office of 131.3 million. So not the highest difference, but, pretty good for 35 million budget.
70 million basically difference is not bad.
No, not at all. So its box office made it the highest grossing musical-themed comedy until Pitch Perfect 2 in 2015.
Huh.
This was directed by Richard Linklater, who's responsible for doing several miscellaneous comedy films. He was responsible for doing the Before trilogy, which is a romance trilogy. And then he also did the drama film Boyhood, which I have seen.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. It's a movie that follows a young boy into adulthood, where they literally brought this kid on for like, I guess over the course of 10 something years.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. It was very, it's not like there was much of a plot to it so much, it was just kind of like the day in the life.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I'm surprised it was the same person who did that. This was written by Mike White, who's written a bunch of miscellaneous stuff and has been featured on a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. Apparently he was on a season of Survivor. And Mike White, he did Ned Schneebly, actually. So he starred in his own script.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
He played Ned Schneebly?
The real Ned Schneebly. Not the imposter Ned Schneebly.
Interesting.
Tells you a bit about him.
Oh.
I find that amusing, because you wouldn't have guessed that. He would have been the guy to write it.
I know. Yeah, that's weird.
As we know, this has Jack Black as Dewey Finn, Joan Cusack as Rosalie Roz Mullins, Mike White as Ned Schneebly, Sarah Silverman as Patty, who is Ned Schneebly's girlfriend, and Miranda Cosgrove as Summer Tinkerbell Hathaway, the band manager. I looked to see if she's done anything that we've recognized, and she doesn't appear to have done anything we've recognized.
She's on Disney Channel, right?
I think, yeah, iCarly, I think is what it is.
Yes, yeah, I recognized her.
Okay, I haven't seen iCarly.
I watched it a little bit when I was younger.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, that was my guilty pleasure.
Was it?
When we were at my grandparents' house.
This film had a musical stage adaptation that was released in 2015. It had a TV show that was started based off of it in 2016. So that was interesting. A fun fact about the film itself is the soundtrack, not the score, the soundtrack, includes the song Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. But apparently Led Zeppelin had a history of denying permission to use their songs in film and television. But Linklater, the director, had an idea of shooting a video on the stage used at the film's ending, in which Jack Black begs the band for permission with a... What does he say? In which Jack Black begs the band for permission with the crowd extras cheering and chanting behind the film. The video was sent directly to the living members of Led Zeppelin, who granted permission for the song.
How nice.
How nice. There you go. So in 2008, apparently a sequel was being considered, and it was going to be called School of Rock 2, America Rocks. Richard Linklater and the writer Mike White were going to return, but things just kind of fell apart. And in 2012, Jack Black stated that he believed the sequel was unlikely, saying, "I tried really hard to get all the pieces together. I wouldn't want to do it without the original writer and director, but we never all got together and saw eye to eye on what the script could be. It was not meant to be, unfortunately." But apparently he made some sort of comment in 2023 about it being reconsidered. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. Do you think it needs a sequel?
No. I don't think most things need sequels.
It's true. Why do we have sequels at this point, really? Probably just to make money. Okay, so those were all the facts that I had about this one. Not a whole lot of interesting ones. So, what was your general thoughts / consensus / history with the movie? Assuming you have a history.
I don't have a history with the movie. Never heard of it before.
Never?
General thoughts. I thought it was a fun / funny movie. Definitely silly. Not particularly thought-provoking. It was definitely a comedy. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I like Jack Black. They give Nacho Libre vibes, but as we've discussed, we liked Nacho Libre better. like the humor. The story of this one's better, but the humor of Nacho Libre
Yeah,
was
School
funny.
of Rock is a better made movie, better story. I think it's more satisfying emotionally. But something about Nacho Libre is just so weird and awkward that it just, for me, it sticks in my brain a little bit more, at least right away.
Yeah.
It could change with time, because I've already, I've been thinking about this movie a bit, because naturally I'm trying to think about my thoughts, and okay, there were moments, but yeah, I think Nacho Libre has more memorable moments.
But this one was funny too.
It was funny. It was, yeah, I would agree. I think, yeah, nothing about it stood out as being remarkable or nothing we haven't seen before. Granted, it was over 20 years ago at this point. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. Wow. Can you believe that although it's over 20 years ago, but it's also younger than the two of us?
I know. Barely.
It's true, but still.
Yeah, I thought it was amusing. Jack Black is amusing. The story was sweet and endearing. Of course, it made no logical sense whatsoever, but that's okay. We accept it.
It's true.
You could kind of see where the direction was going, once Jack Black impersonates his friend Ned Schneebel, like, oh, he's going to get the kids together to do a rock band. And but yeah, it was amusing, but I can't say that it was particularly... It won't go down as one of my favorite comedies, I think. Okay, so did you have a favorite moment of the movie?
Not really. I can think of a part in the movie that specifically stood out to me. What about you?
What about me?
Maybe you saying it will jog my memory.
Favorite part in the movie? I mean, if we're talking about, I don't know if there was a funny moment that stood out to me as being particularly above the rest. I liked I was a sucker for the ending, when they were on the stage performing their song. I like that moment. I felt like it was well earned.
And the parents were there.
The parents were there, and suddenly all the wrongs of this man, impostering another human being and saying some weird things.
I think my favorite line of the movie was, I think your kids have touched me, or your kids have touched me, and I think I've touched them too.
Or something, yeah.
Or no, I've touched your kids, and I think they've touched me too.
No, but
that part was funny. It's not funny because that is not a funny situation in real life, but in the movie it was funny.
In the movie it was obviously funny.
It was really funny.
Because he totally meant one thing, it came across wrong.
And I wonder if IMDb has the exact quote on the list.
Okay. So let's go into our rating system. This is...
Oh yes. My name is Dewey Finn, and no, I'm not a licensed teacher, but I have been touched by your kids, and I'm pretty sure that I've touched them.
That's wrong.
I've been touched by your kids. That's so bad. That's funny though.
So yeah, we're going into our rating system now. We have a scale. We have 4 categories that we'll rate on a scale of 1 to 5. That includes entertainment, production quality, the writing, and the overall content. What would you, Savannah, give this on a scale of 1 to 5 for entertainment?
I would give it a 4, probably. I think it was entertaining sufficiently. It wasn't the most amazing and hilarious movie in the world, but I thought it was entertaining, and it kept me fairly engaged. I got kind of maybe a little bored at one point, but I think for the most part it entertained me well.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. I think what makes Jack Black funny is not so much what he's doing in the movies, but just his facial expressions and his tone of voice and the way he does things, the way he moves his body is funny. But yeah, I'd give it a 4.
Okay. I might, for entertainment, I might give this a 3. I was pretty bored towards the beginning of it. I felt it was kind of slow to get started, and then it picked up more. But because this was pretty formulaic in terms of plot, and it's not necessarily the movie's fault because it's what had 20 years after it of movies doing the same kind of thing, and it's not like this was the first of its kind to do it either.
Yeah.
It's just I can't say that I was super riveted. I enjoyed it. I thought it was amusing. I thought the story, like I said, was well told, and I felt like the ending was paid off, but I just felt like there wasn't enough there for me to be like more engaged. Like Nacho Libre, which we're going to compare a lot to this one, I would give a 4 just because it is a little more absurd, even though maybe the pacing of it is not as good as this one.
And, like, I don't know, there's something about, like, slightly irreverent religious humor that's funny.
Yeah.
Especially, like, when it's not super serious. And it's not my particular branch of Christianity. So, it's funny.
It's true. I thought I enjoyed the whole part. I think the part that I enjoyed the most was whenever Dewey got in front of the class and, like, decided that he was going to teach them, like, about rock and what rock was meant to be and how it was sticking it to the man, and he'd have them all do the thing, like, now you say something and now you say something. I felt like that was the most entertaining part for me, and I wish we'd gotten almost a little more of it in there, but
A little more of sticking it to the man.
no, just like the philosophy of rock, so to speak, even though it was very silly. Like, I thought that was the most amusing part. But yeah, I wasn't like flat out bored. Yeah, I think 3 is where I'd land, but it's not like it's borderline 4.
Okay.
Borderline 4.
If you believed in decimals, you would say 3.5 stars.
I would, but I have to pick one or the other. It's production quality. This is where we rate the different aspects of the actual production of the film, whether it's cinematography, editing, the music, acting, casting, etc. What would you give this for?
I would give it a 3.5.
3.5.
I thought it was well casted for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the acting was decent. I didn't like the acting of Ned Schneebly,
Yeah.
aka the director of the film.
No, that was the writer.
Sorry. I also thought his girlfriend, Patty, I guess is her name, her acting was really bad.
You thought so?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was gross. Like I didn't love it.
Okay.
But I thought the rest of the acting was pretty good. The kids were fairly decent acting. I liked Joan Cusack in her role, Rosalie. I thought she was pretty good. I thought she always plays a good, like, very airheaded, weird character. But yeah, I thought it was nothing stood out to me. I don't think as being particularly weird or bad, like not vibing with my senses.
Yeah.
I thought there wasn't too many cringy special effects or anything like in Bruce Almighty. There's a lot of cringy special effects in that one. But yeah, 3.5.
Okay. I'd give this a 3 again. It was just good all around. I don't feel like it ever quite borderlined being like, ooh, that was particularly excellent as far as the production quality goes. But everything was good. Yeah, I think overall the production of this was just well done. Like you said, there weren't anything that stood out as being like, ew, that's gross. But yeah, I feel like it's a pretty standard by the books made comedy film. It just tells the story straightforward. And it doesn't cut corners, but it doesn't necessarily do anything that is innovative. But that's fine. It wasn't trying to. So
It's true.
no shame in a 3. No shame in a 3. Okay, so writing. What would you give this for the overall writing of the script, whether that's the plot or the characters and their growth, or the arc, I guess?
I thought it was fairly decent. Like you said, nothing new or particularly exciting. Guy gets kicked out of the band. He's sad. He impersonates a teacher. The usual. Probably a 3.
Okay.
I don't have many other thoughts. I might contribute some when you start talking about it.
Okay. I think I'd give it a 4 for writing. Just because while most aspects of this are very by the books or paint by number, I felt like the writing, I think they did a pretty decent job with Dewey's arc as a whole. Even though, you knew where it was going. Like, they did it, and they did it pretty well. I thought that everything kind of came together very nicely at the end with Dewey's philosophy about music, or specifically rock, and him, teaching that to the children and helping them excel with their particular talents.
I did like the growth arc of some of the kids, specifically the guitar kid. I liked him.
Yeah, he kind of had a not super nice dad, but he had a song that he wrote and they used at the end, and everything in here was just very, like, we've seen it all a million times before, and so I'd give this 4 borderline 3, but I think to be nice and give this an extra nudge because I've already given it 2 3s. I'll give it a 4 here, but yeah, I felt like they didn't leave any strings untied. The biggest sins of this is because it's a comedy. There's certain aspects of it that don't make logical sense whatsoever. Like the fact that they, were rehearsing rock music in a schoolroom and they got away with it for months, and no one discovered that they were doing it. Made zero sense whatsoever. And obviously, it's just, that whole was definitely a stretch, but, it's a comedy, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly there. But yeah, I'd give it a 4, borderline 3, I think. Oh, also, so, okay, biggest gripe, aside from that, which I'm letting go, I think would be the fact that Dewey kind of was forgiven towards the end. In a sense, like, the parents saw their kids perform, and
they were like,
wow,
whatever.
They're amazing, your kid's talented. Great, I don't disagree with him there. But the fact that, we didn't really get quite the resolve I wanted there, with Dewey impersonating his friend, and also, pretending to be a teacher, and the fact that his parents...
kidnapping them.
Yeah, and his parents letting... Or their parents, children's parents, letting them, at the end go back and have rock school, essentially. Which, while it was fun and really cute, it was like, I feel like there's a little too much, I don't know, grace going on here.
It's like Bruce Almighty. All he had to do was get hit by a truck, and then his girlfriend was back, and it was like, everything is fixed.
It's true. This one at least made a little more sense because, the parents were touched and moved by everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And probably based on the children's testimonies, they had no reason to believe that Dewey's character was actually creepy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's my biggest gripe, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, content. This is where we weigh the more quote-unquote negative content against the more positive elements of this story. Was anything in it particularly shocking or offensive? Did we feel like it had things in there that didn't need to be there at an excessive rate? What would you give this for content?
Well, I'm trying to think of what was there. So I think the general vibe of the movie is kind of angry and mad at, there's the scene where he tells the kids to say mean things to him, and they're talking about sticking it to the man and blah blah blah. And so I think that is definitely negative. It's something that comes hand in hand with rock music, and it was in a joking way. But I feel like if a kid were to watch this, it would be more negative.
Okay.
Also, but other than that, there's some language. Not a ton. I don't think. I mean, the kid said some languages.
Yeah.
I think that there were a couple crass remarks. There's some shirtless Jack Black that we see, which isn't necessarily negative content.
There's the shirtless guy at the end who's
Yeah,
just
no, I'm
wearing
just
the
gonna say that
sleeves.
he was creepy, and
he
that was
approaches
definitely
Joan Cusack's
That was
character.
That was definitely trying to be like scandalous.
That was odd.
That was definitely like
That's a little-
sexual vibes. That was creepy. I didn't like him. Yeah. All I can see in my mind is his torso, like moving,
undulating.
Yeah, it's like that's creepy. Okay, probably 3.
Okay.
It wasn't bad. Again, I don't really remember the language. I'm really bad at remembering language because it kind of just filters out.
Okay.
But I would say a 3.
Okay.
Definitely deserves the PG-13 rating.
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely deserves the PG-13 rating, but I'd give it a 4. Because I'm thinking of like another example movie that we would have given 3 would be like Elvis, where overall the PG-13 of that movie was a little more edgy, so to speak. Most of it made sense for the story because, you know, there was substance abuse, but it was more of implied, and, you know, that was just part of the tragedy of Elvis. So that made more sense, sort of certain scandal elements. This one, overall, I feel like the quote-unquote negative content is pretty light for a PG-13 movie. Whether all of it was necessary.
Yeah, this is definitely a light PG-13.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, this is super PG-13, but I think that I wouldn't let a 10-year-old watch it.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe. I could. Maybe. It depends.
Yeah, I guess some of it would go over their heads too.
Yeah. I feel like I would comfortably give it a 4, like not even question it. Like there are some things in it that, you know, debatably not necessary, but I think because it is pretty mild and it's never emphasized for the most part, except the one guy at the end with just the sleeves.
That was weird.
But I felt like they kind of, for me, it was a little redeemed when he approached Joan Cusack's character and they had that really, really awkward interaction.
Didn't he tell her that she was hot or something?
Yeah. I thought that was just so weird and it kind of amused me.
That was amusing. No, I didn't think that was like the parts that are like PG-13 and more edgy are definitely kind of put out and like it's silly, like this is really cheesy sort of way.
Oh, what I think another reason I'd give it a PG-13, not PG, give it a 4, is I think Jack Black's character, all things considered, is wholesome when you compare them to the other rock stars and the way that he was actively trying to protect the children. In the sense, like, he was telling them, you know, rock is about the art and it's about the music and it's not about all these other things these guys are doing. And, you know, they make jokes here and there about, you know, oh, so they just sleep around with other people or they, you know, they do drugs or whatever. And he's like, no, it's not about that. It's about all this. And whenever...
Taking it to the man.
Yeah. But, like, whenever the one guy, the one boy was tempted, he probably was more tempted than the others to kind of join the other guy, the actual rock artists. Dewey was always, you know, even though it was always very silly, you know, you'd always bring him back and be like, no, it's about this, it's not about that.
Yeah.
And, like, he had the one interaction with the black girl who was a very good singer, and, you know, the positive message that he gave her there is like, you know, it's about your talent, not about your appearance. But I think, yeah, I feel like there's enough other positive things in there. And I think Dewey, as a character, even though he was, you know, quote unquote edgy, he was pretty wholesome, all things considered. Innocent in a lot of ways.
Other than his desire to stage dive.
It's true. So yeah, that's my take on it. All right, so that gives you, for all 4 categories, a 4, a 3, a 3.
0.5.
0.5. Oh, man. And was that a 3 for content?
I will give this movie a 3.
You'll still give it a 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings you to about...
No, I said movie altogether 3.
Oh, altogether. Sorry, I thought you were talking about content.
Yeah, no, movie altogether.
Altogether 3? Okay. Sounds good. Mine would bring it to 3.5, I think. Because I gave it 2 4s and 2 3s. yeah, I think it landed there pretty comfortably. Pretty safe, all things considered. Entertaining.
I
But-
would say that this movie is better than Bruce Almighty as far as wholesomeness goes.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Is it as entertaining? That's debatable.
That movie went between entertaining and painful.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's my overall conclusion is it's fun, it's sweet, as enjoyable characters, but it's very, generic, unfortunately,
Yeah.
which is probably its biggest sin. I felt like they could have leaned a little more into, a little bit of kookiness, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Me too.
Me too. All right. Does Tom Hanks have a portion in this movie? Does he get to replace anyone as an actor since he's the best actor there ever was that lived?
No,
that gosh
he's
darn
not.
lived.
I don't think that.
Not anymore.
I don't feel that way. I never felt that way.
Catch me if you can. Just turn me
No,
off.
I like Tom Hanks in certain movies that I've seen him in.
Okay.
Definitely not the best.
Not the best.
Not the best. Not my favorite actor.
Not your favorite actor?
I don't really know
He
who my
was
favorite
before.
actor.
Okay. Alright.
But he could replace Dewey.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he has the chops to pull that off?
It could be funny. Okay, well, you've never seen A League of Their Own, which is a movie that I saw
Yeah.
that starred Tom Hanks as one of the main characters, and he was like a coach, but he was like drunk most of the time.
Okay.
And I feel like he could be a drunk.
Okay. Well, there you go. Tom Hanks for Dewey Finn. I don't know if he quite has the charisma,
No,
but it could make for an interesting alternate version.
it's true.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening to our take on School of Rock. We hope you've been inspired some more to have conversations around the movies you're watching. Let us know what you think about this in the comments. Let us know how we did on the ratings. It is late and we are ready for bed over here. Our words are starting to slur. But yeah, until our next movie, have a good night.
Bye, guys.